Hey people, this is Fernando doing another video for the Modern Survivalist. This time talking about indefinite food storage. Type of food that will last pretty much forever. Big surprise, well here it is actually the package, so you already know what I'm talking about. Instant mashed potatoes. In my book, The Modern Survival Manual, Surviving the Economic Collapse, page 84, I wrote dehydrated mashed potatoes, and it says, the Incas had an interesting way of dehydrating potatoes. Small potatoes were placed outside on the ground at high elevations to freeze during the night. The next morning the potatoes would be gathered into piles. The men and women would stomp on them, which would cause the water to squirt out. When they wanted to use the dehydrated potatoes, they would just add water. Potatoes are one of the basic food staples around the world. A lightweight package that stores almost indefinitely and just needs water, priceless. That's what's my little comment on this topic. Whenever you talk about indefinite shelf life of any food kind, we're all taking that with a huge grain of salt because, you know, in strictly speaking, nothing is indefinite. At the same time, when you find, for example, that certain canned foods had been found in good eating condition from the times of the Civil War, you know, opened and fed to, you know, a dog and nothing happened to it, or lab tested and, you know, hundreds of years old, and it still has the even though the texture and flavor is not all there, it is still edible, and it has most of the nutrition values, in spite of some being lost, of course. But for example, when they found in the pyramids in clay pots, they found wheat that was still in good condition. That same wheat, the people that found it and analyzed it said that same wheat thousands of years later could have been used pretty much without a problem, in spite of how old it was. This is a somewhat similar case. Yes, it does have an expiration date, 8/2014. Next year, about the same time, it should be expiring, right? That's strictly speaking in terms of what the companies go for. That doesn't mean that this is not edible a year from now. Actually, there's a pile of guys online that have eaten mashed potatoes that had been 5 years past the expiration date without any problem. I've myself eaten them a year past the expiration date. I didn't even notice a difference. If this is kept in the famous dark, cool, dry place where it should be kept, it has pretty much indefinite shelf life, at least for, you know, it's gonna be outlasting any of us. That much I can pretty much guarantee you, as long as the package is not compromised in any way or bugs get to it. That, of course, would mean that humidity would leak in, and there would be more than all that nasty stuff that we're always looking to avoid. If you're looking to store this for a decade, you don't even need to do anything like use a Mylar bags and oxygen absorbers. Just leaving it as it is would be just fine. In this case, you actually have a nice wrapping. This, you see this metal foil is one of the best ways to keep humidity away. As long as you don't break it, it should not have a problem whatsoever. So that's pretty neat. The Incas that I was making reference to at the beginning when mentioning that quote from my book, the Incas, their staple, their civilization was basically supported by that food. It was called chuño. And these cakes that they made, they would step on it, as I was describing before, left to dry in the sun, and most of all the dry wind of the Andes and the cold temperatures would cause a natural dehydration process. That same flatted mess. Imagine this, you know, these Incas stepping on it with their feet full of dirt, not bringing, I mean, guys, imagine, it's not exactly lab hygiene conditions. That flat cake that they would make, they would pile those up and store those in stone rooms that they would make up in the mountains, and those dry conditions would keep those pretty much indefinitely so. They wouldn't go bad no matter how many years went by. Exact same thing here, except with a modern process. The only thing that I would mention to keep an eye on, and this goes along with the philosophy of being smart and informed. Learn to read the ingredients, the composition of your food in general. Know what it is that you're eating. Know if it has, as in this case, it does have a stabilizer and it has a sulfur dioxide. Know what that means. What you want to avoid is having anything that, especially when you look at dehydrated mashed potatoes, those that have flavors, any kind of special flavor. If it has any fat added to it, this is not the case. It has pretty much no fat. Just trace amount of fat, almost no fat whatsoever, which isn't the natural thing for potatoes. If it has fat, it will taste very good actually, but that fat will cause it to go rancid beyond its time. So go as pure as possible when buying dehydrated mashed potatoes, these flakes, for storage, for long-term storage. As long as you stick to the basic stuff, usually it's the value package like this from Walmart or Asda. The value package generally has the least amount of stuff. That's what makes it particularly cheap. But still, as I was saying before, the packaging is actually pretty good quality. As long as it doesn't break, it's gonna be lasting quite a bit of time. So guys, this is for all practical purposes, is indefinite food storage. It's gonna be lasting 10-20 years as long as it's kept without being altered or anything gets to it, water, bugs, it's gonna be lasting. This combines actually pretty well with the 6 food items that I have mentioned in a previous video. With vegetables, with canned meats, you can combine this very nicely and make a variety of palatable recipes with it. Folks, that's all for now. Almost reached the 10,000 subscribers. Almost there, folks. Thanks for all your support. Have a great day. See you on our next vid.